Let's talk a little boxing. Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. We know what happens. Garcia stops Campbell in the seventh round, but not without some adversity. Check out some highlights right here. Garcia gets knocked down in the second round. Clipped good. He has his chin up high, gets clipped with a good left. Arm kind of goes limp a little bit, got up, and then was able to finish Luke Campbell with that body shot. But the question is, what happens when he faces Gervonta Tank Davis? What's going to happen with Gervonta, who hits way harder than Luke Campbell, although he is the smaller guy, comes in there and tests Ryan's chin. Yes, Ryan is taller. He's 5'10". He's going to have 4 inches as far as height goes. The width on as far as length, arm wise, is going to be a little bit closer. But if Tank connects with Ryan and Ryan keeps keeping his head up, it could be a short night for Ryan. If Ryan chooses to box and doesn't want to bang, then Ryan could get the decision. But that's going to be a really tough battle for Ryan, who's 22 years old. He'll be 23 this year. Tank is 26. He'll be 27 towards the end of the year. Tank's coming into his prime. Ryan's not there yet. He's kind of like that Canelo, that young Canelo who was fighting Floyd Mayweather. Although I don't want to compare Ryan to Canelo at all. Ryan and Canelo are two totally different individuals. Canelo is a beast. He can take a punch. He's never been dropped. He's never been hurt. Canelo's chin, his head is made out of granite. But Ryan is the younger fighter. He's not in his prime yet. We don't know what he's going to be like 3-4 years down the road. But right now he's 22. Tank's 26. You have someone at that weight range that they're in his prime. So is it going to be Ryan that uses his length and his reach to keep Tank away? He called Tank out after the fight. Check this out.
Hold it. Who do you guys want? Who do you guys want? Which one? We want Tank. We want Tank. You hear this? Let's go.
After this call out, he has to be ready. He has to know that Tank is aiming for him. It's a good time to make this matchup. I don't know if I think it's going to slightly favor Tank, who's coming off that great knockout win over Leo Santa Cruz, who is a smaller fighter and a little bit older, 33 years old, in that weight range, who came up to face Tank. But still, the way Tank finishes opponents, it's a lot different than the way Ryan, yes, he has 18 knockouts to his 21 wins. Tank's at 26 wins with 25 knockouts. Only one person went the decision. That was when he fought a 6-rounder. But still, it's going to be difficult for Ryan to overcome that power, especially if he keeps his head up high. I'm watching the fight, and he keeps his chin up, his head up. He's fighting Luke Campbell, who was a taller fighter, but fighting tall when he needs to tuck that chin down. He needs so that he doesn't get touched up. And against Tank, they're going to have a totally different game plan. Again, Ryan's not Canelo. Canelo will go in there and bang. He banged with Triple G, even though the first fight was a draw, which I thought Triple G won. It's still Canelo can go in there and take shots. Ryan can't go there and start swinging with Tank Davis. It's not going to be good for Ryan. Ryan, to win that fight, is going to have to take Tank the distance and be able to tire Tank out. I know one of the Tank's downfalls is his cardio, but against Leo Santa Cruz, his cardio was pretty good. He made weight. That was something that Tank has had issues with in the past. Made weight, no problem. And it was a phenomenal performance, especially Tank knew that there were going to be eyes on him. A big Mexican crowd back in Leo Santa Cruz. And if you remember, Tank wore the Mexican flag on his shorts, which was great marketing. Floyd did the same thing with Oscar De La Hoya and some of the other fighters that of Mexican heritage that he fights. It's just great from a marketing standpoint. Tank is trying to market himself better. And it's one of those things where that's going to be a huge fight. That's going to sell pay-per-views. But then you have Teofimo Lopez coming in, and he said that both Tank and Ryan are scared to fight him. He said that in a little bit different verbiage, but put Teo in the mix. I mean, Teofimo just coming off that huge win over Lomachenko, where he was a huge underdog. Most people didn't think Teofimo was going to beat Lomachenko, including me. I didn't make a prediction, but I just didn't see how he was going to beat Loma, who's in his prime. And now people are thinking that Loma was coming out of his prime. Add Teofimo Lopez to this mix. A potential matchup I heard was between him and Mikey Garcia. I don't know how close that is, especially with Mikey fighting at 47 at times. Mikey can make 40. I don't know if Lopez is going to come up that much, but that's an intriguing matchup too, whether it's Lopez versus Tank. And I don't think Ryan he's not there yet. Maybe a fight with Devin Haney. I think that would serve him much better. Get a bigger name, get some rounds in, especially against Haney, a world champion, and see what happens from there, and then take on maybe a Tank or Lopez. Let Teofimo Lopez and Tank fight, and then let's have the winner of Garcia Haney and Lopez Davis fight. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You could do the Ryan Garcia fight with Tank. I mean, that would do huge numbers, but is that in their best interest? And Oscar De La Hoya, when he was a fighter, he fought everyone, whether he was old, young, it didn't matter. I mean, Bernard Hopkins is way bigger than him. He fought Hopkins. Pacquiao was smaller than him, but that was the last fight of his career, and Pacquiao was in his prime. He fought Pacquiao. He fought Mayweather when he was a little bit past his prime. He fought Sugar Shane Mosley. De La Hoya got in there with anyone, but I think as a promoter, he wants to be smart at the same time. He wants to make sure that, okay, I don't have Canelo anymore, right? Dawson. It's Dawson. I know they want to say Dazon. It's spelled Dawson. As a promoter, he wants to keep his golden egg, and right now Ryan is his golden egg. Ryan loses, doesn't bode well. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not terrible. I know boxing, if you get a loss, it seems as if you're not good anymore, whereas MMA, the greatest fighters in the world have losses under their belt. But in boxing, that O is really important to them. So it's interesting to see what Oscar will do. Yes, Ryan says that he wants to fight Tank, but he's not making the fights. So we'll see what happens there. UFC 257 is here. Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Who's going to win this fight? I mean, can Poirier come back from a loss years back, getting knocked out, and fight Conor on Conor's terms? I mean, they're going to be striking. I don't see this going to the ground. I don't see Conor grappling. I don't see Dustin trying to take Conor to the ground, especially when he was finished by knockout. He's going to want to get that back. And I think this is, again, a mental battle. I think Conor may be in Dustin's head a little bit, the fact that he's reaching out to him on Twitter, trying to be friendly with him. It's kind of like that Cowboy Cerrone when Cowboy was friendly with his opponents. He was able to get in the octagon and usually finish many of his opponents because they let their guard down, letting Cowboy be nice to him. And I think that's the trajectory that Conor is going. Be nice to Dustin, and then he gets in there, and then Conor is going to go into battle mode. And I don't know if Dustin Be Nice. I know they're older now. They're at a different stage in their career. I know some of the money's going to go to charity, and I know Conor wants to get involved with or donate some money to Poirier's charity, but it's going to be a fight. They're going to get in there, and Conor's going to try to knock Dustin out, and Dustin's going to try to knock Conor out. But when you have that bit, when you let your guard down this much in MMA or boxing or any other sport for that matter, the opponent can use that to their advantage. And especially when you're in a combat sport, boxing, mixed martial arts, the stakes are way higher. Again, I don't know if this is a great thing, or I don't know if Dustin was doing this to try to get the fight, so they were going back and forth on Twitter. But whatever happens, it's going to be interesting to see the psyche. And I think we'll see fight week that as they do the face-offs. I know it's a lot different, mask and less contact with each other because of the media will be done remotely and separately. But still, it's hard to get back that loss. And there's people that come back and avenge your losses many times over. But then there's people that have rematches and it doesn't go so well. It goes the same way as it went the first time, unless that person did something drastic to change. Interesting to see that co-main event, Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker. Hooker is coming in on the A side on that, which is interesting. Obviously, he's a UFC vet, and he'll definitely be a challenge for Michael Chandler. We'll see where Michael Chandler is at because Hooker, he's kind of like that gatekeeper. He's beaten some really good guys, and he's lost to some really good guys. So, I think the UFC and fans will see exactly where Chandler stands in that pecking order of the UFC, the top 5, top 10, to see where Chandler could go. I know Chandler wants a title shot, and he was close to getting one, being the fill-in for the Khabib and Justin Gaethje fight. But now, if he loses to Hooker, that's going to drop him down a bit. If he beats Hooker, where does that put him? Does that put him right in line for a title shot, even though we're not sure what Khabib's going to do, and depending on what Conor and Poirier do? And I know that a lot of people want to make the Conor and Khabib fight after that. I don't think that's going to happen. Even if Conor wins in a great form, whether it's a great form or distance or somehow submits Poirier, I just don't see that happening. I think what's more realistic is that Conor fights Manny Pacquiao. That's what he's been saying. Poirier's a left-hander. He's made lucrative money fighting Mayweather. So why would he not do this fight for the UFC and then do a fight with Pacquiao, which the UFC will make a percentage off of that as well? It makes a lot of sense. I don't see Khabib wanting to come back to fight him. I think the only thing I see Khabib doing is a fight with GSP. That's what his father wanted. That's what Khabib wanted. That's the only fight that I see Khabib doing. I would, I mean, this is, if someone had a wish list, it would be interesting to see him go against the 209, right? I mean, I know many people would say, well, Khabib's undefeated. He has a lot of losses, but people don't understand is a lot of those losses were decision wins that were someone just laid and preyed on him. And the other thing too is jiu-jitsu. Khabib hasn't really been challenged with someone with that high level of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So even though Khabib is a high level sambo, what is that going to look like if he was to take a high level black belt, right? That knows how to use jiu-jitsu in a combat form. It's not going to go the way that many people think it's going to go. He's not going to go take him down, choke him out, arm bar, triangle. Like, when was the last time that happened? It was a 20-year-old back in, I believe it was like 2006, 2005. It was maybe even before then at a blue belt. So the only thing I see Khabib doing is GSP, although I would like to see what that would look like. I've talked to Javier Mendez, Khabib's head coach. He obviously thinks that Khabib would beat everybody, and rightfully so. He's beaten everyone. I just think that, yes, GSP would be a good matchup. GSP has the wrestling pedigree, the MMA wrestling. I mean, GSP's wrestling that's what he was known for, taking his opponents down, beating them, outpointing them. But so that would be interesting as well. I just don't know if we would see a true MMA match, or would it be more of a grappling match when you got GSP and Khabib, like a 5-round grappling match, which I'm that'd be great. It would be nice to see. I mean, that's still something that's intriguing. But I think going against 209, that's a fight. That's a different level. That's something where the stakes are way higher. The stakes with GSP aren't as high. It's two people competing, and there's nothing wrong with competing, but there's certainly a different level from competing and trying to hurt someone and finish someone. And not that I want to see someone hurt, because certainly not. But that's why many people watch boxing. That's why they watch mixed martial arts, whether it's UFC, Bellator, PFL. They want to see that. Me, I'm more on the technique side. I want to say, okay, can this guy's martial art or martial arts trump someone else's, and in what fashion or what form? But there's others that want to see that venom that comes out of it, and there's something about it. I mean, why do you think Mike Tyson was so not only vilified, but he was looked up to because he had that venom. He had that kill instinct. There was no shaking hands. There was no fist bump. And so that's what I think you get if could be the fellow Bay Area residents were to get it on